name is Pedro Cortez. Do you need to have a copy of my resume?
Yes, please.
Yes.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks for coming in today. Can we start, could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'm a junior at California School for the Deaf. And I have good grades. And how do I do that? By turning my homework on time, meeting with the teachers after school if I have any questions, and that's how I've been getting my good grades. I'm involved with 3D printing, and I have some samples here. I actually did this. And this is a design that I did. It's more basic design, but I did that. And this is what I made. What is it? So basically it fuses everything together as layers as it goes up on the machine.
Oh, so it's 3D printed.
Yes, right. And there's another one. To make earbuds. So it's a mold to make earbuds. And this is for lights to put up on the ceiling.
How do you come up with your ideas?
I just figured it out on my own. Figure out, okay, I need a light. I want to have it kind of on the ceiling, and you know, some kids want earbuds. Why buy them? Why not go ahead and make them? And then I have another 360 Fusion, which is even more advanced that I made, and that's this right here. This is what I got from the internet right here, Autodesk. And this is the actual picture of what I made to hang my keys on. It's like a cat hook stand.
Very cool. So you like art also?
Yes. And this is the actual 3D version of it.
How big is that, like, in real life?
Not this big.
Okay.
Yeah, and I already made it. This is the finished product.
I can see that IKEA.
Yeah. And I've really worked hard in that class. My teacher's name is Jason Kolchinsky, and I really appreciate a lot of, you know, hard work that he's taught me, and it's really tough to do this 3D printing. And I had to, you know, make the changes over and over again every time. The hooks were all different sizes. So I actually had a partner that helped me with designing it, making sure it was perfect, and then I was done. It was a lot of work. And I have had work experience working in the FEAST program. It's the food culinary program where I had to clean, put away all the dishes, whatever the teacher needed me to do for that class time period, I would do that. And I've also been involved with activities at the school, with the Latinx Club. I was the chairperson for the different activities, like the parties that we have, and I have pictures of that. So I did the decor. And so they gave me some ideas, everybody in the club, we all had the feedback, and I made all the different changes as far as the decorations.
I like the color choices on that one.
Yes. I love to decorate stuff. And this is the actual picture of the traditional clothing and the dance.
Did you have to dance also?
No, I didn't dance.
Did you have a team of people that helped you put together or put up the decorations after you decided what they were going to be?
Yeah, I got everybody's ideas and everybody helped decorate, but I was the tallest one, so everyone else was shorter, so I did the most stuff that was up high. And then I also have one more last thing. Oh, okay, that's it. ASP is after-school program. And basically, it's different clubs where we would go out, cook with our cottage with our classmates, build different robots. That would be another program. And so, of course, I love to cook. So Mexican culture food. So I did that. I made enchiladas for the group. And everybody enjoyed that. That was for ASP. And then for sports, in the fall, I was in cross country. And that's really been great because we had a great team. And it was tough, climbing through the mountains, running there 4 miles, going through the different terrain, just not giving up, being persistent as a team.
So I'm going to ask your first more formal question, and that is about your role on a team. So you shared a few examples, but could you tell us about another time that you were involved in a team project and specifically what role you played in that?
Well, if I tell somebody my opinion and they don't like it, that's fine. I mean, we can make changes. That's how I feel like, being a team player is, helping, bringing ideas and your thoughts.
And you talked about a lot of different things that you did. What do you think are your greatest strengths, though?
My strengths?
In the sense of when you're working, the best skills you bring to the team.
I think being creative, sharing my ideas, drawing, artwork, and decorating.
So you're involved with a lot of organizations, including you're the chairman of Latinx.
Yes.
And there's always going to be conflict whenever you're involved with a group and leading a group. What are your techniques to resolve that conflict?
Well, if there's a conflict, I can maybe, let's say if I wasn't at the certain event, I can have someone else take over and help out. If there, that would be like a problem-solving way that I could solve that conflict.
And it says on your resume that you're interested in a computer desktop or technical side position.
Yes.
What made you choose that avenue? Like what made you want to pursue a technical position like that?
Well, I've always been repairing computers, or if something's broken, I'd like to fix it. So that's just something I've always been doing, just growing up.
And from that then, what makes you the best to do that job? Why should we hire you for a technical position like that?
I think you should hire me because I'm gonna be on time, I'm good at following directions, I'm a good leader.
Let me ask you this. In our company, we have a very diverse workforce. And in that, if you're working in the environment, you're working with a lot of hearing people. So how would you facilitate communication? What could you come up with?
So we can write back and forth. We can use our phone, like voice to text. We can, like I said, write back and forth. That's another way.
Do you have any questions for us?
Would you like to see my references?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Maybe as we look these over, you can tell us a little bit about what someone you worked with before, maybe a boss or supervisor, what they would say about working with you, what that experience is like.
Okay. So yeah, my boss would say I'm a hard worker, I'm smart, I'm assertive, and I answer any questions that they might have. And I actually have a letter of recommendation right here too. I have two letters of recommendation.
In the first letter, it talks about your time management skills. Can you talk about a time when you had multiple deadlines and what you did to meet them?
Well, let's say if there's homework that is due, I need to make sure I turn it in beforehand. I need to finish the homework and make sure it is given on time, because if not, my grade's gonna be lower. And I don't wanna pull down my grade like that. I wanna make sure I have good grades.
Good recommendations.
In this last letter, it talks about how you're kind of just taking on new assignments or addressing new material. What's your favorite, most recently that you can think of, what's your favorite thing that you've learned that you didn't know before, something new?
Yeah, like for example, I learned about World War I. That's something that I never learned before about that part of history. So I really like that. It was very interesting to learn about that part of history. Do you have any, can I ask some questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Please.
Have you ever had a deaf employee before?
I've never worked with a deaf employee, but I don't think that doesn't have one. I'm not quite sure if we have it at Tesla or not. But we do have plenty of hard of hearing folks at Tesla.
Okay.
For sure.
And how do you feel communicating with them? Or if they're hard of hearing?
Yeah, well, they're speaking, so as far as I know, the few that I've met, or they have devices to assist with their listening.
In my department, we work with quite a few deaf employees, and it's been a really good cultural exchange for us. We've learned as much from them as they've learned from us. So we really like when they use technology to help us communicate better.
What is something that is interesting about your job that you love?
Oh gosh, there's a lot that I love, but I think with what I do, I meet a lot of people. I'll meet thousands of people throughout the year, and I love meeting new and unique people and learning a little bit about them and sharing what I do and sharing my company. So that's the thing I think I like the most.
Cool. And as far as your job, do you like to work alone or do you like to work with a team?
Personally, for me, I like to work with a team. It's always great to have differences of opinion and experience and bring together a better result at the end.
And how is your business running, or how does it work?
We're busy. I mean, we have enough work for 40 hours a week to keep people busy. We're big into live-work balance. So we want people that work hard, but when they go home in the evenings and weekends, play hard or relax hard.
And what about the work schedule? How do you schedule the team?
So our hours are 8:30 to 5:30 with a lunch at 12 noon.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this interview.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, you're welcome. Hello, hi. My name is Brent Fuentes.
Hi, Brandon.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And your names? Adriana. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And Kim. Nice to meet you.
And I'm Michael.
Nice to meet you all. Can I go in and sit?
Please.
Absolutely. Before I start with the interview, would you like a copy of my resume?
Yes.
Please.
I thought it was going to be 3 people. I didn't realize there was 4. I'm sorry.
How about we start off by, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I've always decided that I wanted to be involved with cooking, but in particular, like what kind of field, as far as cooking, I don't know. But I joined here in 6th grade at the California School for the Deaf in Fremont. And, you know, kind of went through my schooling and I kept changing my field of interest. And then I found my passion, and that's pastry, being a pastry chef. I realized that's it. Because I really feel like I can work with my hands, I can walk around the kitchen, be busy all the time. I'm not the type of person that can just sit and correct papers or something like that, or sit at a desk on a computer. I want to work with other people, I want to work as a team, come up with different recipes, cake design, make different kinds of sweets. So, of course, I love to eat the sweets too. So I think it's a good fit for me. When I went into high school, I was involved with different organizations. Vice president of the Asian Club, vice president there. And then also a student restaurant organization that has to do with cooking. And president of class of 2019, really the list goes on. I've also been involved with sports in high school, football, varsity, basketball, cheerleading, track and field. So that's what I've been involved with. That's about me.
Well, at Tesla, our pastry division is running big, our cooking cafeteria section, so, yeah, so that's
Oh, wow, okay. I remember I went to Tesla and I actually saw the cafeteria, so that's nice.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the formal questions, and the first question we have for you is about being a team player. So can you give us an example of a team that you've been on before and what role you played on that team?
So as far as being a team player, working together, being a leader, I think that's important, to help give feedback, improve the team to be even better because everyone's giving their feedback. Not focus on being an individual, that's not the thing. I think you can improve your skills and feedback as helping each other and make the team better.
What strengths do you feel that you bring to the team?
Communication, time management. You know, if you've got a list that you need to do, you need to follow, I think it's important that you communicate with everybody, make sure everybody is on the same page.
So you are involved in a few different clubs. The Asian Student Club is one of them. You're vice president. So
Yes, Vice President.
yes. So there is often conflict when you're in clubs and in organizations, or even on your team, like your track and field. What are the techniques that you use to resolve that conflict?
So if there's a schedule conflict, let's say there's track and field, and then I'm in the Asian club too, and there's a conflict there. So maybe I can meet with the coach at track and field and meet with the Asian club sponsor and try to arrange something. Let's say maybe go to track for an hour and then go over to the meeting shortly after that, the Asian club meeting. Maybe I can do that.
What about personal conflicts? What about arguments between people in the Asian club, in the Asian Student Club?
Oh, okay, I understand. Sorry, I understand what you mean. So if there's a conflict, then I would say, okay, let's everybody stop, let's sit down and talk about why is there a conflict happening right now? And let's try to solve this problem as a group, have a discussion, and get that problem solved. Thank you.
Now, you said, you talked to us a little bit about why you chose to go into pastry cooking as opposed to other types of cooking and things like that. Why should we hire you as a pastry chef?
Well, since I've been involved with pastry, I've actually made cakes for the CTE Expo. And let me show you my work sample that I have here. So this right here in the past, we were in FCCLA and they changed it to SRA. They changed the acronym. So it's basically a restaurant association is what they called it before, or now. And so I joined in a competition there, and I decided to pick salad prep. And I was involved with the competition. It was a regional first for Northern California, and I got first place. Then I went into the finals, and that was all over California, so the whole state of California. We went to Riverside to compete there. We drove down there, and I got third. Out of, I think there were 19 students competing from different schools. And I got third. And so I thought, why not do pastry, something different?
What is your favorite thing that you cook or bake?
My favorite is, well, there's a lot, but I love to make sweets. Let's see, at home, I always, make pastries for my family. If they're in the mood for something, I'll just make something for them, but that's hard to decide.
Did you bring some for us today?
Oh, I don't mind making you some dessert if you want.
So, as you can imagine, we have a very diverse environment, a lot of diversity at our work. So, what would you do to facilitate communication with hearing employees? What solutions would you come up with?
So I actually work at Jollibee, And how I communicate there is I write back and forth, or I use gestures. And that's how I communicate.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do have questions for you. What is your vision for this company for the future?
Well, we're a growing company, and there's a lot of opportunities in the future with new facilities and new catering facilities for all our employees. So there's a lot of room to grow and expand. And we also want to give people very high quality. We want our employees to be very happy, and one of the ways that they're happy is with great food resources and great food and
Right.
great desserts. So
I agree with your comment.
we want to be at a very, very high level, and that's why we're interested in a new position like this.
Are you thinking about other locations throughout the United States?
Well, not only the United States, but all over the world too. So there's lots of opportunities throughout the entire world to explore.
Oh, I could do that. I'm also thinking of being a business owner too. That's another thought I'm thinking about.
What kind of business?
A pastry shop. I do want to give you my references.
What would a former boss or someone you worked for before say about you?
I do have letters of recommendation, and that will explain some. So the comments that the teacher would make about me is I'm very mature, I'm a hard worker, I work at a fast pace, and teachers would say that I'm a good student, I complete my homework, and I finish projects on time. And the teachers notice that I'm very good at time management, being organized, and that I participate in a lot of organizations and sports.
How long have you worked at Jollibee?
I just started this summer, just this summer.
Thank you. Did you have any other questions for us?
No, that's all that I can think of. But one thing extra for you to think about my organizations and my sports that I've been involved with. There's a list here.
Busy.
Yes.
How do you, time management, how do you focus on your time management with all of these extracurricular activities? You got a lot going on, it's very impressive, but how do you manage your time?
Well, I'm good at, when they let me know, I set up a schedule, and I list it all out on my phone, my iPhone. And, you know, sometimes there's different schedules, which works out, but sometimes there is a conflict, like I was just mentioning. If there's a time conflict, then maybe I can go up to the Asian Club sponsor, for example, and tell them, okay, you know, I've got this track event going at the same time, and try to negotiate, maybe just make an arrangement and have them agree on the time, and then just put that in my phone.
So why should we choose you for this job?
Well, I have a lot of experience in the cooking class since sophomore year. And I've done a lot of different projects of desserts that I've made. And so I think that I can work well with you as a pastry chef.
Thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
the time today.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, hi, good morning, good morning. My name is Jade Dawson.
Nice to meet you, Jade.
Nice to meet you too.
My name is Adam.
I'm Tara.
Michael?
Kim. Okay, great. Nice to meet you all. So before I start, do you have a copy of my resume? Yes.
No.
Okay, great. You can share. Sorry, I only have 3. Thank you.
Great, thank you for giving us your resume. Can you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm at California School for the Deaf in Fremont. I'm in the 11th grade. And my goal is always to be an athletic trainer. And how do I reach that goal? Well, I've been involved with a lot of athletics in the program. I've played volleyball, basketball, and softball. In the fall, it was really exciting for volleyball. We went to playoffs and into NCS, which is North Coast section. And we got championships. Let me show you a picture of that.
Nice. Congratulations. Wow.
That's great.
Good
Thank
action
you,
shot.
thank you.
That should be some Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Oh, action shot, that's
Yeah.
Thank you. So we got championships, and we really, that was a big accomplishment. Under work experience, I actually worked under Warren Keller. He's our athletic director. And I was basically like a secretary. I did different work for him regarding the athletics program. And then after school, when I'm done with athletics, sometimes I go and help the athletics program by putting away equipment and stuff like that. And for CTE, Career Technical Education classes, I didn't take any programs there. So what I did is I thought, well, why not woodworking? I'm good at measurements. Construction, building that, because let's say if they need like a jumper box in the future for that athletics program, I can make a box. So let me show you what I've got here. I made this skateboard. Of course, you see the athletics is still there.
Are you
you a
trying to
Warriors
slay the
fan?
panel? Are you trying to do it?
Yes, I am. And so it shows that I have good artwork, good details that I'm using. I didn't do just a good enough project. I tried my best. So I could do like advertising for the athletics program, make flyers, stuff like that.
You said you made that. Did you just painted it, or you actually sanded it? cut it?
Oh, I made the wood, yeah. Ordered the piece of wood, glued it all together with different layers and bent it, and then did the design. And then I had to do a blueprint for the CNC to make that design, paint the colors, and this is the final product.
Where did it end up?
I'm keeping it, you can skateboard. Thank
Have
you.
you put the wheels on it? Have you put the?
Yes, yeah, I did, I have it at home.
Oh, nice, nice.
Thank you.
So you talked a lot about what you do. What are some of the strengths you would bring to our company if we brought you in as an athletic director?
So I have good leadership skills, I'm responsible, I'm a hard worker, and I'm always committed and dedicated. I'm on time, I'm responsible, I know, what the athletes might need.
Can you tell us about a time that you were involved in a particular team, project, activity, and what role you played in that specific example?
Well, different sports, for example, representing the younger athletes that will be coming up through the athletic program in the future. Different events that we host, like for example, we just hosted Berg Seeger event this past weekend. And so we made the event successful.
What was your role in that success?
We had to set up everything to get ready for the event for the day. We had to type out who's involved, the coaches' names, the list of that, make the program books for everyone, the badges for everyone to wear, the athletes and the coaches.
Great. So, athletic training has become recently a very competitive field. And a lot of the challenges have to do with, now you're very good at sports yourself and very committed to sports yourself, but everybody has a different level of athletic abilities. How do you assess the people that you are training and see where they go next? What's the best way to assess and know the next level that you're going to take them to?
So the athletic person themselves or the athletic trainer?
So you would be the trainer, am I right? And then
Yes,
you would be
right.
training someone who you're either doing physical therapy with or you're trying to take them to their next professional level. So what's your best way to assess people other than yourself?
Thank you for clarifying that. I would watch them how they play sports, maybe see how they're stretching before and what they're doing after the game to see their level, and then I can try to figure out what that is.
Now, if we were contemplating, we're talking about wanting to hire you as an athletic trainer for our company, and you obviously have those who are pursuing kind of athletics as a profession, then you also have other more business side of things, and those people want to stay healthy too. How do you think you could bring athletic training to the entire company, not just the athletes, but those who are also sitting behind a desk doing the business side of things? Can you think of a way that you would bring them into the situation as well?
Maybe I can give some kind of exercises or stretches that they can do, yoga before work, so that they can focus better on their work. Like a fitness class or something like that, eating right.
Now, why should we hire you for this job with our company?
Well, I'm very dedicated to my job. I would show up on time, and I would invest everything that I have for those athletes so that they can be successful in the athletics program.
We work with a lot of different people, a lot of different clients. What would you do to facilitate communication between the clients we work with?
So, of course, if they're deaf, that would be accessible by sign language, but if they're hearing, we can write back and forth, we can gesture, or we can find different ways to communicate.
So, if there's ever a conflict, you're involved with, helping with organize all these events. There's obviously going to be conflict between people. What are the ways that the techniques you use to resolve that conflict?
Well, it would depend on the situation. Let's say if something's small, maybe we can talk about it later, but if it's something serious, we can find a way to resolve that. Maybe I can step in and help out. Maybe you can give me an example of what kind of conflict.
So there's always, especially with athletics, people are very emotional, and with that emotion, there's a lot of, anger sometimes. So if you were at an event and two of your coworkers setting up that event were arguing, how would you resolve that?
Well, maybe I can have them pull off a little bit, talk about it, maybe make a compromise between the two of them, try to meet both of their needs, and make sure that they're both happy on what they need.
And then what would your who do you work for at the school right now? You're the assistant to who?
I work with Warren Keller, the athletic director. I'm
What
the
would they say
secretary.
about working with you?
He would say that I have good leadership skills. I'm good for the athletes program, on the varsity team, on and off the court. I have a good GPA, 3.6, that's been stable, and that hasn't waived. So I'm good in school too. Do you want to see my letter of recommendation?
Please.
Sure. Sorry, I have to share again.
No problem.
I've heard you mention leadership a couple times, and I see it mentioned in this letter too. How did you get into your positions of leadership?
Well, I always like to represent those younger athletes that are going to come through the athletic program in the future. Show that you can be dedicated, show up on time, work hard, and show your skills.
Is that how you became a leader, when starting from just being on a team to being a leader of a team, or one of your many?
Yes, because I want to help them become good athletes and good players too.
Okay. A lot of good things said, so that's reasonable.
So do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do have questions for you. I was curious, do you have any training that you provide for this job?
Well, sure. We always, so with the position we're looking at for you, we would start off as, a junior, a junior athletic director there. And you would be basically an apprentice, and you would learn from the manager there. And then as you progress and as you learn more and more, we're going to give you more and more responsibilities, and have you venture off on your own. If you have projects that you'd like to dedicate, you talk to your manager and see if those are something that he or she would like to pursue, and then you would be working on your own to accomplish that project that you put in.
Okay, I look forward to that. And I was curious, what does the schedule look like as far as being a trainer, and then as far as being a trainer schedule, and if I actually become an athletic trainer, what would be the schedule?
Well, typically we operate the fitness center from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But there would be times when you are working with individuals, and those would be schedules that you'd set up yourself. And then there are times when we would have group meetings, and we do a few different classes. So I'm sure you'd be involved with those classes to start with. When you jump in here at this company, we expect a lot in the very beginning, so we can see your dedication and see how much you're interested in working for the company and your skills. And then once you show that dedication, we'll make it a little bit more where you work on your own and work independently more.
Okay, got it. That schedule really fits me. I'm really excited, looking forward to that. What are your expectations and vision for this athletic program?
We want to open it up to as many people as possible. We know that different people have different health needs, different lifestyles. So we're looking for people to come up with good, creative solutions to match the needs for all the different people we work with.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Pleasure to meet you, James.
Thank you. Have a good day. Come on in. Hello, hi, good morning.
Morning.
So hello, my name is Luke Bella, and I'm here to be a PE teacher's assistant interview. So do you want my resume? You want to see that?
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us your resume, Luke. Could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm an athlete, and I've been involved with different sports: football, basketball, baseball, and I love playing sports. It is really my hobby. And I've been in school since freshman year. I've made the gold honor roll. And I'm really a hard worker, I'm motivated, and my average GPA is 3.5. And my volunteer experience, I did go to Irvington High School and work with their athletic department, clean up their football field, talk with their football coach. And actually last weekend, I did help out with here. We actually hosted Berg Seeger track event, and I was involved with making sure everything was organized and helping out. And this past summer, I went to YLC, which is Youth Leadership Camp. I stayed there for a whole month, didn't have any technology, and I learned about leadership skills, how to deal with people. And we had 63 students who were there, 32 boys, 32 girls. I was one of the boys, obviously, involved in the camp, how to work as a team, just learn those different skills, how to apply that for my future journey.
On your resume, I noticed there's a certification here called the Hour of Code. What's that?
So the Hour of Code, I actually took that course, and it's a computer technology where we feed in information and change it to 3D. And I really learned a lot in that class. And you know, of course, technology now is just so far advanced. So I got to know that information. So if needed, I know what to do.
So I'm going to start, excuse me, with the formal questions. So the first question is about being a team player. So can you give us a specific example of when you were involved in a team and what role you played on that team?
So as far as a sports team, you know, supporting each other, making sure everybody is welcome, feels comfortable. We have like a brotherhood to support each other. For example, for football, you know, giving everybody high fives, keep that spirit up. And so everybody feels like, okay, you know, we want to work well together and be happy. And then like school, for example, teamwork, if there's someone that's struggling in class, maybe I can show them a simpler way to do that so that they understand what they're working on. So just having that good rapport, I think that's easy.
Great, thank you.
And on the team, what particular strengths do you bring to the team?
Well, strengths is showing that as a team, you can do anything you want. Be yourself. You know, don't be a follower. Don't be fearful. Be brave. And be motivated. Do your job regardless. And that I would support you no matter what.
Right, so as a coach's assistant, sports is very emotional, and there's a lot of conflict, a lot of aggressiveness, and if there's ever a conflict or arguments, you know, as a coach's assistant, you're going to have to help resolve them. What are the techniques that you use to resolve conflicts?
Well, if it's a really serious argument, then, you know, we need to let it go because we don't want them to keep being mad at each other. Just maybe ignore that, and, you know, we want to represent the team well. If someone's really emotional, maybe just show them, okay, handle your emotions, show some respect, and try to solve that problem. If not, you know, ignore, let's just see what's going on at this point, and just hopefully they can continue.
I'm going to ask you, we have many different types of people we work with here, very diverse environments. What would you do to facilitate communication with, say, for instance, some of the hearing clients you're going to have to work with?
Well, before people would write back and forth, but of course now we've got our phones, we can text each other back and forth. Maybe I could teach some signs, and so that they can learn something, some sign language. And then later we can use some signs to understand me. That would be a way to communicate.
I think that kind of goes into my question really well, in the idea of teaching other people anything. What made you want to pursue teaching? Why? Your objective says you're seeking to become a teacher. Why?
Well, being a teacher, I think that's a big key for people. If we didn't have any teachers, then we wouldn't know what to do. So I think teaching is important for people to learn, and so that they can be better than me, and then the next person's going to be better than this person. So I think having them learn some mistakes that I've already done, and then I can teach them, and then I can see that person be successful, and it'll make me feel good. And that's what I like. That's my goal.
And why should we hire you as a teacher?
Well, I have some strengths as far as being patient, dealing with people, being consistent, never giving up, and I'm motivated, and I like different challenges that I've never experienced before, and being consistent. And that's something, like I said, I like the challenge. I'm dedicated, I show up on time. I show up on time for sports, for school, both of those, so I feel like I'm ready to get that job.
Coincidentally, your dad, Kevin, applied for the same job. Why should we hire you instead of him? You
Oh my goodness.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I do have some questions. I was curious, for this job, how many hours will I be working?
Well, it's a standard class schedule, so you're looking at the 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., but there is going to have to be preparation work before and after every class. So that's on your own time and preparing for the next set of classes.
Okay, great. And I was curious, what age group will I be teaching?
So we have a full campus, and it's really from elementary up through high school, similar to CSD. And so it's a matter of where we have the greatest need right now. It's in the mid-junior high level, and so that's what we're looking for. But there's lots of opportunities to go across the spectrum.
Okay, great, thank you.
Is there a age group that you feel most comfortable with?
I would prefer middle school and elementary, yeah, around that age.
Why is that?
Well, last year, I actually worked with one PE teacher. I was an assistant, and I learned their method at middle school. So that really made me excited and motivated to teach and work with middle school kids last year.
Any other questions for us?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello. Hello, my name is Melissa Padakova.
Hi, Melissa.
Do you need my resume?
Please. We'll share. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for giving us your resume, Melissa. Could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
So growing up, up, I've been involved in different farming aspects. I want to become a dairy farmer and own my own business. My parents have taught me about farming. I've really been fascinated with it growing up, and that's my goal. My parents were like, yeah, you could do that, that's fine. 2 years ago, I was involved with FFA, if you know what that is, Future Farmers of America, and I was involved with that. It was really fascinating. I really learned a lot of different things. I had there were like 30 or 40 hearing people, and I was the only deaf person. And they were shocked. They thought, oh wow, this is probably the deaf person we've had in our club. I definitely was the first one. So they learned some ASL, that was nice, I taught them that. And I was really good at taking care of different animals. It's a lot of time, a lot of responsibility. My teacher was very impressed with me, like cleaning out the stalls or finding out the animal was sick. And they said, how did you figure out the animal was sick? And I said, I don't know, just by their appearance. So I learned a lot of different skills. Last year, I actually applied to work at a vet office, and that was a different experience. It was a very small vet office, where, basically the duties were I would clean around the dog pens, feed the dogs. I really loved that, so my goal is to work on a farm.
I'll go. Are you gonna ask this drink?
Are you on this side?
It doesn't
Okay. So that's really good. So tell us about some of your strengths that you bring to a team. What are some skills you look at?
So my strengths, I'm able to be physically strong. I can't just sit down. That is something I cannot do. I like to keep busy, and be on my feet. That's something I like to do.
So we have a question about participating on a team. So can you give us a specific example of when you were on a team and what role you played on that team?
Well, like for fundraising, we had to do that for going to the huge conference. There were like 7,000 students involved with that. So, and what we did was we had members that would watch, and then we had president, vice president of the organization that we were involved with. So that's it.
And what was your role in that conference attendance or fundraising you were talking about?
Yeah, so we had to do fundraising for the trip. So we sold meat, a dessert, potatoes, and all that. And so we had to take that money and then use it for the conference that we went to in Fresno. And we sold clothes too. That was another fundraising event that we did.
Thank you.
So, on a farm, there's lots of different people that work there, and there's also lots of differences of opinion, especially when animals can't communicate very well. There's a lot of differences of opinion on what might be wrong with an animal, so there's a lot of conflict between each other. Because people love animals so much, could be very emotional. What are your techniques to solve conflicts with other people?
Well, I would let the supervisor know or the boss know, and maybe they can kind of help with their argument. If I try to get involved, then maybe it'll be worse.
Can you think of a specific time that you solved a conflict with someone else?
No, never.
Let me ask you this: in the business running a farm, you meet a lot of different people, a lot of different communication styles. In addition to working with hearing people who maybe never worked with a deaf person before, what would you do to facilitate communication in that environment?
Well, we can write back and forth, and sometimes I can call and have an interpreter scheduled so that we understand clearly.
I think you've done a good job of explaining why you're passionate about pursuing farming and animals and working with animals. But why should we hire you? What makes you stand out compared to the other candidates that we were looking at for the position? on the farm?
Well, I want to make your farm bigger. I want there to be more farms out there.
How do you plan on doing that? Do you have any ideas on what you would do to expand? Let's just keep it within our farm. You say you want to make our farm bigger. What's an idea you can think of to expand?
Maybe encourage people to work at the farm. Maybe have them, take care of animals and then be more fascinated working with them.
What would someone who's worked with you before, say like a former boss or supervisor, what would they say about your work style?
Well, I'm on time and I'm able to prove the work that I can do.
Do you have any questions for us?
Have any of you experienced, sorry, how many years have you worked at this company?
My mom had more family farmers, and they're dairy farmers, which is really interesting. So my entire life I've been around dairy farming. In fact, my cousin sold a cow for $1 million to an Australian farmer. It's the craziest thing. So definitely there's a passion.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, I've shown turkeys before and I earned $300 to $400, so I'm really proud of myself for that.
Yeah, I never knew until I met my cousin. She told me about this. But definitely, we're a growing company. As you said, we're trying to get more people interested in agribusiness, in agriculture, and looking for people like you who are passionate for the business.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Any other questions?
I do want to show you some pictures.
Please.
So this is the FFA organization that I was involved in. So this is the farm animals that I took care of. This is my best friend, and I helped her. Sometimes if there was like no interpreter, she would help sign. So I really appreciate her and thank her for that. And this is me feeding the chickens. And this is the neighbor's horse. They need some help taking care of them, so I'm always willing to help them out. And they taught me how to ride.
Do you have a favorite animal that you get to take care of?
Cows and horses. Pigs. And this is me cleaning.
And I'm just curious, what kind of farm is your family farm? What's the main product?
Well, we didn't have anything big. A long time ago, my parents used to have one cow that was with my grandparents, but they moved here to a smaller, like more chickens, rabbits, smaller animals, because my parents didn't want so much land. But then my friend encouraged me to work at a big farm, so that's where I learned. Right next door, they have cows and horses, bigger animals. So that's how I learned that. And I want to work with bigger animals. I think they're better.
Well, thank you.
And do you need my letters of recommendation and references?
Yes.
You're welcome.
Are you going to, I'm just curious, are you going to pursue in college studying agriculture?
Yeah, I want to. That's my goal. It's hard to find a college, though. I'm still thinking about that. I want to go to UC Davis. That would be my goal. But it really would be hard for me because I am deaf. So I don't know. We'll see. I've got to figure that out.
Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate getting to know you.
Thank you. Thank you.
pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi.
Well, welcome.
Hi, my name is Sahara Shohan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Adam.
Adam.
Kim.
And Michael.
Nice to meet you. So can I go and give you my resume?
Please.
I only printed 3,
It's
so.
okay, we'll share.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself while we look at your resume?
So I'm very motivated and passionate in my skill of film. I've been doing that for many years growing up, and I'm a good listener, good communicator. I'm opening to work by myself or with a group, and I'm willing to do for whatever someone needs. I have good time management, and I can finish things on time.
Awesome. And what are some of your strengths? You mentioned that. What kind of strengths do you bring working in a team environment?
Leadership, yeah, definitely. I've had the experience of being a director at a deaf film camp for 4 years, so I do have that experience. So I have pretty good leadership skills. That's one of my big strengths. And also working as, not being a big wig in the team player, but just helping people and teaching them and making sure everybody works together.
What do you mean a deaf team camp? Is that
Deaf film
deaf
camp.
film camp? What is that?
That was in New York. It was set in 2012, and it's the only deaf film camp. So they focus on filming, making movies, music videos, learning different things in class, meeting people who have the same passion. Have you heard about the video called Happy? The singer Pharrell?
Mm-hmm.
So we had over 1.3 million views, and we made that video, so it's really cool. And then another one called Home. Yeah, that was a big impact. Learned a lot from that camp.
How did you get involved in that?
So I'm really mostly, it was all the kids working together to make that film, with the help with the assistant that was a teacher, teaching us all the skills. And working with music was a challenge for us because we are deaf, right? So we had to learn how the sound feels, the vibrations, and how does it fit in with the video. And we learned a lot.
So I know you spoke a little bit about the camp that you were involved in. Could you give us a specific example of something that you got involved in as a team to work on, and what role you specifically played in that team?
So my role mostly was as a leader, and focus on one assignment, and then other individuals would have different assignments, and then we'd all work together as a team for that and work together. Easier that way rather than just one big project. All of us focused on the different projects, and then it would go along smoothly.
So any group project or any artistic endeavor, including film, is always a group. And there's always conflict, especially with arts.
Of course, so you're right, a lot of conflict. 2 weeks of the camp was.
What techniques do you use to resolve conflict like that?
Well, you have to have a discussion, more and more discussions about the different opinions, what you agree upon, what you don't agree upon. And if it's still continuing that way, then maybe we just kind of push that aside that we're struggling with, but push that aside and, have a new discussion. Let's see if this works, and planning, a lot of planning, because you don't want to be stuck on one thing. You want to make sure it moves along and get through that.
So at your camp, you worked a lot with film, but would be your ideal area of expertise within digital media? Because there's a lot of different areas, music videos, film, plenty of different options. What would be your ideal one?
Editing is my thing, editing, graphic design, film. I mean, I do have a lot of skills, but I would say I really love editing. I like to focus on by myself, edit it, and then give it to the team to finish out the rest.
And so we happen to be hiring an editor for our film company. What about that makes you the best candidate for that job?
Well, I'm really good at visual skills, what kind of vision do you want for this film? And I can edit it to make it look that way. And let's say you give me some details, what you want. I can make sure that those specific details are in the film. That's what I can do.
So, of course, in any kind of media environment, you're going to be working with a lot of different kinds of people. In some cases, you will be working with partners or vendors. How are you going to facilitate communication, say, with our hearing employees or hearing vendors?
Well, it depends on what they like and what I would like. We can have an interpreter. We can write back and forth. We can get in touch through email. It really depends on what the plan is. For me, for film, I think it's easier to communicate that way. Can you point? Can you show me? It's very visual anyway, so gesturing would work so that I would know what to do. And if you want to talk in more of like a discussion, then maybe we can have an interpreter or write back and forth.
Do you have any questions for us?
Well, what is your vision of this position and this job?
Well, we have a lot of need for a lot of different media. And what we really need is somebody who is flexible, who can move from one to the other. And then when we figure out their skills, we'll have them more and more specified into a specific position. But the truth is, we have a very large company, and communication within the company is a big challenge. So that's one of the reasons why we need more media for internal communication.
Okay, I get it. And I have references and letter of recommendation if you want to check more information about me.
Please.
Yes.
And I have 2 letters, so you can just share with each other, back and forth.
What would some of these personal references say about working with you?
Well, I have one person who founded the Deaf Film Camp, and they would say I have leadership skills. There's also a teacher I'm working with the class right now, in the film class, so it would all be geared toward media. That's what they would say about me. And I do have work samples. One is a picture, graphic design. And so I made this, the film poster. And this is some artwork that I painted, just something I did for a hobby.
Where do you get your inspiration for your art?
Well, it's in my family. My grandpa worked on Star Wars film products for the sound engineering, so I love Star Wars. And so it's really in my family. We're very artistic. And I took this picture. This is some photography. I sold that for $1,000.
Wow.
This is San Francisco.
That's so cool. You had a gallery show, or?
No, I had a silent auction for the Deaf Film Camp. So and we donated that money to the camp.
Wow, you know how to finance film. That's
Yeah, I was time I've ever had that experience. So it's, you know, it's motivating more and more for film and photography and graphic design, all of that.
So why should we?
Do you want to see a video, a short film?
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just 1 minute. Maybe I'll show you guys first and then
Yeah, well,
we're
we
over
can stay
here.
Good idea.
There's no sound, it's a silent film. Creepy. Yeah. I won a Best Director Award for that in Rochester Deaf Film Festival. I won that and another film. It's 3 minutes long. I wish I could show you, but it's too long. It's called No Boys Allowed, and I won for Best Film for that. So it's amazing.
I felt the anxiety,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I love scary movies.
Okay, did you have any final questions for us?
No, well. Is there any people, like, who work in the media, is something that I can kind of work with them, that would be a good fit for me to work with them in your company?
Well, we always start off with sort of like an apprenticeship program. You'll work very closely with somebody to start with and learn the skills for the specific position, and then the more growth you have, the more you'll work in more and more independently and take on your own projects.
Okay, that's nice. I really appreciate the interview with you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you, thank you.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
My name is Julie. Nothing.
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Adam.
Me too.
Nice to meet you, or nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Nice to meet you.
Michael.
Nice to meet you too. Before we start the intro, would you like me to sue me?
Yes,
Please.
How cool to me, I only have 3.
That's okay. We can share.
No problem.
Welcome.
Can you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a junior here at CSD. I started as a night artist. And I took up many different classes.
And I see that you're interested in a veterinarian tech position. Can you tell us a little bit about why you're interested in that?
The reason why I strive to become a vet tech is because I wish to save many animals as much as they will have home doctors and courage and producers. More animals would be interesting to the environment.
And then, can you tell us about some of your strengths?
Determination, adoption, and creativity. And my weaknesses, sometimes I can't say no, and overprotective. And sometimes I'm too caring.
What do you mean by overprotective?
It depends on the person I'm overprotective with and the company.
So, one of the questions we want to find out more about you is about your experience in a team environment. So could you give us an example of a team that you've been a part of and what role you played on that team?
And the experience of my team, so I'm known to take the rules. I can live and teach them the experience and lifestyle. And my friends, I will help them if they don't understand. I'll help them through all of it. I'm known to sit back and let others take the roles. I'm determined to go more in the physics in order to accomplish that goal.
Thank you.
So, as a veterinarian and a vet tech, there's always high emotions because people love animals so much, but there can be differing ideas on what's best for an animal. So there's lots of conflict, I've noticed, especially when people love animals that much. How do you, what are your techniques you use to resolve conflict?
For example, I'm just gonna save them. And I will make people happy that the animals will be safe. If I know they can't be saved by my hands, I'll have to inform them of the sad news.
What if they have a different idea of what's best for the animal than you do?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think if they're ideas, I've heard of the ideas, they will be good. If not, it depends on the situation.
Now, in an environment at our vet clinic, we work with a variety of different people and different communication needs. How would you facilitate communication in the office environment with working with so many different people?
I will communicate by looking up their speech or hiring an interpreter. And also can communicate by email.
You told us a little bit about why you're passionate about becoming a vet tech. What makes you the best for that job? Why should we hire you?
Because it's always been my dream since I was little to become a vet. I will work hard to become a vet even if I have many downfalls. There was going to be some hardships because I'm deaf.
And what would someone who's worked with you before, say a supervisor, tell us about working with you? What would they have to say about you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have the opportunity unless I wrote me my work experience because I was in a different state. I worked as a hotel 8 as a maid.
And what would your boss say about you?
They would say I was good, but not that experienced enough.
Thank you for your honest answer.
You're welcome.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah. When did you start hiring deaf workers?
Well, we haven't hired any yet, but this is a small clinic and we're interested in looking at a lot of different applicants. So we want to, we like diversity at our clinic. So we want to experiment and see if somebody who has the right combination of skills would be right for us. So, we're open to it.
That's great. Where do you think the company is going 5 years down the road?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
Well, we're trying to actually expand to in-home visits, veterinary visits, to be more convenient for our clients. So we're looking at hiring people who might be willing to travel in the local area.
Nice.
Would you be willing to travel in the local area?
Yes.
Okay.
I will be next year soon traveling to friends in England.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Would you like me to have accommodations?
Please.
How'd you do in your biotechnology class?
Yes. I have actually all A's in that class. And I really love that class the most
Why?
because there's many interesting things I never heard of in biotechnology. For example, when I did this work tonight, weeks ago, where I did the fish example, you can take the fish inside and take out the fish sample, put it in the tank to see, but it's still not so fish. And it showed that sharks actually evolved from salmon.
Is that your favorite project that you worked on? Or do you have another project that you enjoyed
It
working on?
was my favorite project I worked on.
So what is it that you're doing here in this picture?
I'm taking out fish samples from the tube in order to insert them into the tank. If they are still, the project will go, but if they are not still, it will be smushed. We're doing that in order to find out if someone came from the family tree or made a family tree fish.
It's too deep for me.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for us?
I don't know.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Hello, hello. How are you this morning?
Great, Rosie, thank you. And
I'm
yourself?
good, I'm good. My name is Rose Chrisman.
Nice to meet you.
Rose.
Nice to meet you too.
Did you bring your resume along?
Yeah, I did. Would you like a copy?
Yes.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself first?
Sure. So I'm a junior here at California School for the Deaf in Fremont. I've been involved with different sports, volleyball, basketball, cheerleading, and track, and I really have enjoyed that. I also was involved with Academic Bowl since freshman year, and I really enjoyed that. That was fun. We went to regions in Southern California and then nationals at Gallaudet University, where we had big deaf schools that we competed against. We made it to the top 4 and then flew to Gallaudet. I've also been involved with AP English, and I've had good grades, 4.09 this year. I'm really proud of myself. And I have many skills. Let me pick 3 of them. I'm very creative. I have details, ideas that I think of. My other friends and teachers say, oh, I never thought of that idea. I'm very meticulous. With details, I stay focused. I might notice something or add something, whereas other people wouldn't notice that, and they like my ideas, especially the quality. I'm very organized. Let's say in the store or my home, I like things to be organized and look neat, even though it might not be mine or it's someone else's. I like to make it look neat. So those are those three things. This year, those are the skills that I've been involved in. Like I said, sports, academics, all of that.
Can you tell us more about the academic track you were speaking of? What is that about?
Academic Bowl.
Yes.
Sure, no problem. So Academic Bowl is an event at deaf schools or mainstream schools, and they're involved with that. There's different questions: literature, math, science, pop culture. Let's say for science, history, different categories, and then there would be a question on a PowerPoint or a smartboard. And the team, the four of us, we have buzzers in front of us. And then if we see the question come up, we know the answer, we have to answer really quickly on the buzzer and then show the answer, see if it's right, we get a point. And then there's bonus rounds, then there's second rounds where each person takes a turn. And then there's a round where you have one topic where you have to fill it out, and I really love that. That's my favorite part of sports.
Sounds like Jeopardy, but in academics.
I saw something like that in the Spider-Man movie.
Oh, I didn't watch that movie, Spider-Man movie, so I don't know.
So, noticing that you have an interest in retail sales, what strengths would you bring to that industry?
Well, I have a strong persuasive skills. If there's an idea of a product or something, I have that skill to persuade the customer or a friend or anything like that. Like, this is a good idea, and explain the reason why to use this product, the quality, and then people would buy it or agree with me. And if there's something the customer needs help with, I can make sure they understand and feel comfortable, that they're not lost. Also, I'm very creative. So if there's any ideas or feedback to make the business better or the company better, that's what I can offer, those three things.
So in our retail store, we're a big team. So we're very focused on teamwork and team environment. So could you give us an example of a team that you've been a part of and what role you played in that team?
In that business, or an example that I have?
An example that you have from a team that you were on.
Sure. So in the Academic Bowl, that's a team, I would act like the leader. I'm team captain. So I would make sure everybody feels comfortable. If there's something they don't understand or they're struggling with something, I would be there for them to make sure that they feel like they're right in place and they're not left out. If there's any feedback or anything like that, I'd be open to that. In the class, in school, teamwork as far as a project that we're working on, a group discussion. I don't just sit back, I raise my hand, I get involved. And if there's maybe someone else who needs a question an answer to that, I would help them out. So I try to balance that out. Even though I feel like I'm a leader, I want to make sure there's a balance and everyone feels involved. So that's some examples of my experience.
Thank you.
So whenever you're in a group environment, there's always emotions and conflict between one another. What are the techniques you as a leader use to resolve those conflicts?
Yeah, some things have happened in class. Let's say if a student is arguing, I want to make sure I get involved, not as ego kind of involvement, no, but just figure out what's going on. Maybe divert the conversation, make them drop what they were talking about, or maybe say, grow up, don't do that. Or why are you both fighting? Maybe there's misunderstandings that are happening, and then maybe they can solve the problem that way. Maybe the student or my friend, maybe they're struggling with something, to make sure. Let's say if they're just having issues as friends, I try to be there with them to maybe they can vent, and maybe I can give them some advice, some tips, so that they can feel better.
So in a retail environment where you work with a lot of different people, what would you do to bridge the gap of communication between the various type of clients you have?
that, I guess I would, if there's some feelings that are going on, maybe I can meet them halfway to make them feel involved. Or maybe I can come up to them and say, I want to make sure you understand what's going on.
Okay, let me rephrase the question a little bit. Suppose someone in a team meeting, maybe they don't use American Sign Language. Maybe they only speak English. What would you do to bridge the gap?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So I would make sure they feel comfortable, make sure there are accommodations, get an interpreter, maybe have notes ahead of time, make sure that they feel involved and not left out, because we want them to be part of the team. Everyone is on the team. It can't be just one person. We want to make sure they feel involved.
Now, what made you want to get into retail and sales? What makes you passionate about that?
I have some experience. I made my own bracelets before, and I went to international studies. I went to Peru. I just got back, and that was a rich experience. So I try to find different ways to fundraise. So I'm good with crafts. I have a skill with that. So I thought, why not make some bracelets? And I made different styles. There were different colors, and I sold them around campus and sold them around my home, neighborhood. Some people bought some, like if they were to buy a few, then maybe I'd get a little bit of a discount. So it made me feel good for a good cause, so I really enjoyed that. In addition to that, I like to see people happy and satisfied with their product. So I feel like I have those good persuasive skills, and retail is a good fit for a job for the future for me.
So why should we hire you for this job?
Well, there are many reasons. I have strong persuasive skills. I will make sure that your company, your customers that come into the business, and the products, give the reasons why the products are great and it's a good fit for the customer. I can explain to the customer about that, research ahead of time. I have strong creative skills. If there's some new ideas, new products, I've got a lot of ideas that I can add to the company to make it grow. I have strong organization skills, and I have good listening skills. If there's something you tell me you want me to follow, I can be right on top of it. I can make sure that I'm clear on what you want. And if I don't understand, I can make sure to double check with you to make sure that I understand. I feel like I have skills in that area. That's the reason why you should hire me.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I do. I was wondering, any of your employees or some people that do work there, what are their strengths?
Well, with us, our store, we're always trying to persuade people to move away from their current method of driving. And the hard part is that they have been driving one way with a gas vehicle for their entire lives. So a big challenge is getting people to think about a product and think about something in a different way and changing their mindset. So we have people that, and most of the ways we do that is by bringing up the technical, the technical side of the car. And when they have concerns or problems, we will bring up a specific, specific factor of the car in order to make them less scared of making a transition to an unknown way to work a car. So it's usually a mixture of persuasion and technical knowledge. So when people come on board with us, they have to learn a tremendous a library of knowledge so that they can answer questions and make people comfortable with this new technology. So I would say persuasiveness and technical communication.
Okay, that skill, I definitely have that, so I think it's a good fit for the job. Also, another question, I was wondering, your company in the next 5 to 10 years, what is the vision?
Well, we definitely want to expand all over California. So we're looking for people who if they start at line staff, as line staff now, they can move up in the organization and maybe be willing to be one of our divisions in another county. Is that something that really interests you?
Yeah, definitely. I love to travel and I'm open to different choices. Yeah, definitely. I'm okay with that. You know, it's important that I have a job with the company and that's what I'm looking forward to.
What about moving to a new region for, we need a commitment of 2 to 5 years? What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I'm open to anything really. I'm really open to that. I'm not a reserved person. You know, I can work in a fancy place or a place that isn't so fancy as long as I have the job opportunity.
Well, thank you. Did you have any other questions for us?
Oh, I was wondering how soon will I be informed of the results if I'm hired or not for this position?
About 30 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time interview. I really look forward to working with you as soon as possible.
Thank you.